Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our daily gratitude call. Really excited to see what we get to learn today. There was a word that was shared in our the rounds of gratitude that we do before we start the recording, just to kind of get us warmed up. Phil mentioned the word cycles, and I know sometimes cycles can have a negative connotation, if we get caught in a cycle. And then there's also can be a positive connotation, because you think about like the laws of the harvest, the moon cycles, all those things, very predictable. And that was the word that I kind of grabbed, that I feel like would be really great for us to focus on today, is gratitude for predictable cycles. And again, there could be some negative connotation to that too for some of us. So I'm excited to see what we get to learn. Let's just have a 90-second private meditation, silent meditation. I'm just going to invite you to write down wherever thoughts are coming to you. This is inspiration that's specifically for you during this 90-second meditation. And then afterwards, we'll share and see what we get to learn. So 90-second private silent meditation on gratitude for predictable cycles. Just write down whatever comes to you. Begin. All right. Yeah, this was really interesting for me. The harvest, like, the cycle of growth, planting, growing, harvesting. That was the first thing that came to me. And then I thought about the months and the days, how they cycle through. I have specific habits and tasks that I've kind of set for myself to do on a daily basis that produce the outcome that I want. And it seems like I never can get through that list of the things that I want to do on a daily basis to set things up, for the outcome that I want. But I wrote, there must be a way to fit everything in. I started out, I wrote, there must be a way to fit it all in. And then I thought, maybe there's some things on my list that don't need to be on there. So I changed it to, there must be a way to fit everything in that is important, and I'm open to learn. And then I just kind of sat there for a moment, because I'm like, I don't know how, my brain, I've been every day, kind of my cycle, my day, it's almost predictable now that I'm not going to get everything done. And so I just kind of sat there because I really don't know what to change or how to do things different. And then kind of it took me back full cycle to the law of the harvest. And I realized, because I do grow a garden every year, there is a ton of work that is that happens in the spring with the tilling and planting and weeding and, you know, preparing the soil and everything, planting the garden out. I mean, there's just like a ton of work, clearing everything, debris from, you know, from over the winter and stuff. Get the seeds planted and water them a few times to get them sprouted. But after, you know, like 2 or 3 weeks after they've sprouted, you can basically just kind of let them go. And sometimes it rains, and so I don't even have to water. And the whole growing season is pretty effortless. And then then there's quite a bit that happens, you know, when it's a harvest. You have to go out every single day and pick the things that are ripe, and then preserve them, either freeze or dry or can, you know, somehow preserve them, use them up, you know, within a certain period of time, because we grow organic, and so things don't last as long as they do in the grocery store. And you know, so we have to do something about that. We have to save it, we have to preserve it. And anyway, that just gave me some new insights, that there's a lot of work up front to kind of set up the system to get things moving, get things growing. And then we can kind of step back and put our attention on other things. So maybe these dailies that I have, maybe they're not all for every single day. You know, maybe there's like a system I can set up that I could let go of some of these things for a while. Yeah, so I'm just excited to see what I get to learn about that. Who else would like to share something?
I would like to share.
Thanks, Phil.
So I was particularly thinking about our bodies and the cycle, the digestion cycle that we have, the sleep cycles that we go through, the routines and the patterns that we cycle through, and even our mental health, how we cycle through our belief patterns, and you know, we get triggered and there's a cycle there, you know, that it's always temporary. It's temporary. And I woke up like at 4:30 this morning because my stomach was uncomfortable, and I needed to go use the restroom, you know, and that was part of the cycle, you know, part of the cycle of that, you know, when we're not, you know, even when we're not, when we disrupt the cycle a little bit, then it changes the other cycles. And so I went to bed early last night, and so I woke up earlier, and my body did its cycle thing earlier than it usually does. Anyway, that's kind of what was going on in my mind. So.
Awesome. Yeah, super grateful for those predictable cycles of our digestion. And sometimes we do make choices, even like in what we eat, that might interrupt that normal cycle. Thank you. And I love also how you mentioned the belief patterns, that, you know, we get triggered, but we always know that it's predictable, that it's temporary, as long as we take care of it, do our permission process. Thank you.
I'm reminded on MASH one time when you know, the sitcom MASH, when the whole place got sick, and I remember one of the doctors saying, "This too shall pass."
Yes.
So, yes.
Process of elimination. Thank you. Who else has something they'd like to share?
Hello, this is Gary.
Hey, Gary.
I think one of the things that forgiveness is a main thing I was thinking about, because I got upset about something and about a certain friend, and learning that people look at things from their own perspective and their own point of view, and forgiveness is important because you can't hold on to that energy, because energy is a real thing. So forgiveness. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. I love that. And that is a predictable cycle, isn't it? That we might get offended, feel offended, but we have no idea. We're not in that person's body. We don't have that person's mindset. We have no idea what's really going on. Just our own perception and our own perspective. And then, if that's really the only way to let go, right? Is just to forgive and move on. Thank you. Who else has something they'd like to share?
I'll share. So I was just thinking about how as we go through these predictable cycles over and over, just the learning that occurs with repetition and how important repetition is, how we learn new and different things each time. And just I'm so grateful that we get to keep repeating things, because we will never master things by doing it one time. So I'm so grateful for all the different cycles all around that God has given us.
Beautiful. We do have some really great examples, don't we? And I'm grateful for that too. That kind of brings in the forgiveness also. I'm really grateful that I can mess up, that I can try and mess up, and that I can continue on and try again until I master that, until I become perfect at it. Thank you. Who else would like to share?
This is Suzanne.
Okay, thanks, Suzanne.
So I thought of cycles as in technology, things that we have, like my furnace, my heater, that how it cycles on and off. Our refrigerator cycles on and off. The defrost system. My water softener goes on in cycles, and our car tires go in cycles. So I'm thankful that those are predictable cycles that I can rely on in my life. And sometimes when they're disrupted, then we need to do something about it.
Well, thank you. I also had the thought, kind of going back to what Phil said about the cycles of like sleep patterns and things like that, with the furnace, with the refrigerator, with our stove, with whatever. If it was just a constant on, then it would probably burn up. It has to have a moment to rest, to keep things at a constant. Like the refrigerator, it cycles on and off to keep it at a maintain a temperature. So maintaining isn't just constantly on. That kind of helps me with my question, of the daily activities. Constantly on is would probably eventually burn up. It would be too much. And so it is good to cycle on and off on things. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Any last thoughts before we move over to our permission process?
I have one last thought as we're going through all this, and that is that time and cycling are related to each other, and that there is an allotment of time between cycles and for the rejuvenation that needs to take place. So.
Thank you. That's good addition. I feel like, because I know Daniel was having a hard time unmuting earlier. Daniel, I'm going to unmute you for just a second. If you do want to say something, just speak up.
I'm going to jump in real quick before that. Just the one thing that I thought of through all of this was that the time and the lists, they cycle. It's okay for them to cycle into the next day, because I've also that's been on my mind lately, and I can just get to mark off and do the most important things, and I've wondered how I can actually do things differently. And there's some things I want to include in my life, into the cycle of my life. But I think, well, where do I put that and still accomplish other things? So I guess the cycle of list of things I want to do. Maybe it just takes practice, and then they become easier to do, maybe.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm grateful for that cycle.
Thank you. Couple things came to me while you were talking, Mary. One is Inspired Shortcut. If you put that at the very top of the list, if that's the only thing you get done, it's okay to cycle everything else over to the next day. And then also the things that we want to include in our lives. Several months ago, probably close to a year ago, I made the decision. I was like, I need and want to create. And so I pulled out an old oil painting. I did post the finished oil painting this month. And I made the decision that was important to me. And so I added that time in. I didn't see how I could fit it in, but it was important to me that it actually got fit in. And it was amazing to me. It was interesting how when I made that choice to put that in there, everything else kind of fit. So we can make that decision and do that.
Yeah, I was thinking as you were speaking to that, that the cycle of our day, really take a look at the day, and there are things that the next step is so important to do, but all the other things, like, really, it comes down to the I forgot my thought actually, but just the time management, what you're doing. I just think it's a tighter ship.
Yeah, some things are distractions, and we need to cycle them out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm just going to give that last invitation to Daniel. Is there anything that you wanted to share?
I just wanted to say, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Like so much cycling, this reminds me of Ecclesiastes, I think it is in the Bible. It's a time for everything under the heavens. Time to live, time to die, time for peace, time for war, and so on. So that's sort of a comforting thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really glad that I unmuted. That was an awesome thought to add to what we already have. And then we're going to go ahead and shift over to our permission process. Thank you for everyone who shared. This has really opened up some new ideas and new thoughts for me. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath. And I'm actually going to use that scripture that Daniel referred to as a springboard, a time for everything. And just take a moment and be open. Allow yourself, your consciousness, to slip down into your heart rather than being in your brain. Connecting with your highest source of information, highest source of guidance, inspiration, and listening with your heart. And rather than trying to figure out how to fit everything in, just be open to know, what is it time for? Instead of how do I find time for? Like, what is it time for? Is it a time to focus on business? Is it a time to focus on relationships? Is it a time to focus on your own personal growth? Is it a time to get your house in order? What is it time for you right now? What is it time for right now within your life? And just be open to know what that is. No judgment at this point of, thoughts that might be distracting from that. Just be open to know intuitively, what is it time for? And being more aware of what it is time for in your life. I invite you to look over energetically, just look over your schedule and the commitments, the obligations that you have created for yourself. And just make a list of all of those commitments and obligations that you currently have. And as you're writing them down, I know that you will intuitively know which of these obligations fit with this, what you now know it's time for in your life, and which are distractions. So just take a moment, continue writing down those commitments and obligations that you have, possibly partnerships or things that you have committed to, habits that you engage in, behavior patterns, anything that is predictable in your life, that is consistent. Just write those down and put a plus or a minus next to them if they are adding to, if they will help you to fully live in what it's time for you to live in right now, put your focus on, or things that will be a distraction. Give yourself this moment to become aware of the commitments and obligations and which ones are on the positive side that are helping you to really live authentically in what it's time for you to put your efforts and energy into right now, or which ones are a distraction. And now that you're becoming a little bit more aware of what is important for you to focus on and which things are distraction and which things are positive, helping you to fulfill that, what is the limiting belief that is showing up for you? What's the limiting belief possibly about these distractions? Maybe that knowing that you're going to have to let them go and how that might be hard, or limiting beliefs about yourself and maybe some shame or guilt about commitments and obligations that you have created that are not authentic to what you should be doing. Just any limiting beliefs about yourself or about moving forward. And what is the cost of those limiting beliefs? If you hold on to that limiting belief, what will the outcome be? What is the cost to fully living in what it's important to give your time and energy to right now? And if you don't like that outcome, you have a choice. You can keep that limiting belief and enjoy the outcome, be grateful for it, or you can choose something different. You can give yourself permission to choose a different outcome by choosing a different belief. And if you're ready to choose different, say yes.
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 Awesome. And what are those new beliefs? So what are the new beliefs that are going to take the place of that old limiting belief, are going to give you a different outcome, and will also empower you and give you space to be able to give time to the thing that is most important for you to be focusing on right now? What new beliefs are going to actually create time, create resources, open up new opportunities? What new beliefs are going to serve you, will be in alignment with, and add to whatever is important for you to give your time and energy to right now? All right. Actually, I have one last question. Take one more deep breath. And with these new beliefs, I invite you to be open to know what is the one most important thing that you could do today. You don't have to do everything to put your time and energy into this new area that you're more aware of now. You don't have to do it all in one day. What is the one most important thing? What is your inspired shortcut to stepping into this new realm that you get to focus on? Focus your time, energy, resources, put every effort into it. It's your time to perfect this area of your life. And what is the one most important thing that you can do to give yourself evidence that you are doing that you are perfecting, you're practicing, you're putting your energy into this to become a master at it? What is the one most important thing that you could do today that would give you evidence that you are mastering this area of your life, and giving your time and energy to it? We don't have time to share, but I do want to invite everyone to go to the Breakthrough with Gratitude page Facebook group and share there. Love to have your new beliefs and also any commitments that you'd like to share. Maybe you'd like to share what it is the perfect time for you to be putting your time and energy and focus into, and we can help support you in that. So we'd love to have you share on that Breakthrough with Gratitude page. The other thing that I wanted to offer is a 15-minute conversation. If you're stepping into a new place and you're having a hard time seeing how you can fit it all in, that's a great opportunity to have a conversation with me. You just have to go to askwylene.com, and that takes you right to my calendar, and you can schedule a 15-minute call. And I know over the next couple of weeks, it's a little bit full. I've got several clients who are finishing up their program, and they're trying to fit all of their calls in before they finish. And so it's very busy right now. But if you can find that 15-minute time slot sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I would love to help you with this. This, again, this is a cycle. When you make a decision, just think about the law of the harvest. You're planting a seed, and you get to nurture that seed and cultivate it before it sprouts up. So there's a lot that can happen between now and when you actually start seeing some results. And the harvest is a little ways down the road. So just be okay and trust that cycle, that predictable cycle. And you're going to get there. Just keep moving forward, continue doing your permission process, focus on those new beliefs that you've created, and take action on that inspired shortcut. Thank you all for being on the call today, and we'll look forward to tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Mountain Time, right here on Zoom this week. And then we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, wylenebenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.